I have an analogy. That's like it's like eating soup, and you have parts of the soup where it's just water, and then you have literally all the vegetables and meat, and then you have water again, and it's not a very well done thing to do.
Yeah, this is just a bit of a nitpick on the criticism standpoint. Just me, Dan, being critics, and Fanazador being the neutral person. Athena would rival Hinagiku. No, thank you. We like Hinagiku here, not that blondie short.
Also want to hear a bit of Fanazador's opinion.
Yeah, so my thought about that is I'm the exact opposite. I actually love that kind of thing. I remember in Hayate, without too much spoiler, it was the one chapter before the serious chapter. It was so like wholesome, and then the next chapter is like bam, it's like super serious, and that's what make me love with Hata Works. To be honest, that's what makes his work unique. It's because of the it's not really, it's a sharp transition between like you expect like a super wholesome, super slow kind of story, and then all of a sudden you got hit with this huge serious story arc. And for me that's a good thing in my opinion, because I've never seen any other author deviate from their atmosphere,
Manga need to start treating his readers, the readers, like they're not absolute morons, in a way that you don't have to explain that to us. You don't have to show that. You don't have to show plot to us that on the face. Exposition should be integrated with the story, and not like chapters of filler and 3 to 5 chapters where literally nothing but exposition happens. And my main issue, I don't mind the change of tone in Hayate or Tonikawa that Hata does, but when you do that so often and without a cut like that, so sudden, and without a proper softening of what's going to happen, I guess you don't exactly need a warning like, okay, now we're going to the plot side of the story, but dip a bit of plot in those parts instead of throwing all the plot at once. One thing that Hata did well, that he could have done more, it's to the part where NASA finds the moon rock and he has to fix it because the maid was doing the maid accidentally broke the oxygen tube. So that was a nice way to put a plot in the middle of a comedy of a comedy part. So that was a good way to do that, and we didn't need to go like, oh, okay, so she got a rock, she got a moon rock and everything like that. Oh wow, what does it mean? Just show the rock. And NASA was like, wow, this is a real moon rock, and then he had to fix it. So I think that was a good way to implement a plot in the manga, and not 5 chapters of pure exposition where you feel dragged from it, and that's something that Hata does too often that I wish he would start doing less.
You know what's funny?
So maybe
the past Hata Works has been popular in the more in the eastern parts in Asia, and then this Toniko Way is popular in the west. So does that mean that Hata will take over the world someday?
Yeah, indeed. His final manga will be a mixture between Hayate no Gotoku and Tonikawa.
Honestly,
take over the world.
I just want a dust rapper aspirant, man. Can I have a bit of a topic here?
You can have the topics you want, my friend.
Okay, in my opinion, yeah, you're correct. Hata is a bit spoon-feeding us the content of Tonikawa Kawaii, but in my opinion, I think it's underestimating the readers a bit too much, considering most of his legacy readers, the Hayate the Combat Butler faction, has known that Hata does subtle signs of his story, considering the power or the King's Jewel mystery was in the early parts of Hayate and was exposition further. Why couldn't Fly Me to the Moon Rock be like that, or the story of Tsukasa be like nodded to? Yes, they did that, but they nodded to a very small part. At least show a bit more and more, and then rebuild it instead of just rebuild a small part, and then bam, exposition chapter. Tsukasa runs away, goes to the church, Nasa discovers, Nasa relearns. At least have Nasa struggle a bit, you know? It just doesn't suddenly, oh, I remember you now, you're the immortal. At least have him go to a journey to somewhere to at least enlighten his mind, and not just, oh, we made up, I know you again now. That's kind of bullshit in my opinion.
Yeah, one thing that I have to point out is that I really love your NASA's Australian accent. It was really well done.
But he said that if you have any question on Tonikawa, just send it to the editorial and he'll put it on the manga. There's going to be a Q&A chapter.
I said several times that Tonikawa was Hata's magnum opus, was actually his best work so far in terms of what he can do. He's a very comedy-based author, and he plays very well with common topics and give them the slap and give them the laugh.
The problem is the series is still ongoing. I really hate to have a strong opinion on a series when it's not complete yet. You know, it's like eating the meat without the sauce. You know, something like that.
Yeah. People in Japan are really like that sort of bittersweet romance where nothing really happens. Is more of the pre-romance is something very strong in Japan, and something that a lot of people really like over the actual, like, oh, okay, they are actually married and doing stuff. So people
the waifu
really
wars,
like
in
to,
short.
Yes, people really like to not see progress, and that's something really weird coming from someone from the other side of the world. You know, it's really it's a really complicated thing to see. I think Hata had that idea by reading Wikipedia articles about the space exploration, probably. It really feels like that, you know?
He got too impressed on Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah, he watched the show or saw a Netflix show or like some Wikipedia articles about space, and he was like, wow, this is amazing, I should talk about that. And it happened, you know? That happened.
One thing though that I like from the latest chapter is we got a reveal about Chitose, even though I'm kinda disappointed because I thought Chitose would play a little bit bigger part, but at least we got, that's a good thing in the latest chapter.
I think Hata's playing a bit more of stereotypical Sunday series right now. Like, it's not playing into his wild fantasies like in Hayate or in Ad Astra. It's playing a bit safer now. I could understand why, honestly. I don't know if they're gonna skip the plot. Because Hata has that track record, so maybe they will skip the plot in the season 2.
Okay, one thing about that though. I saw an interview saying that in the Hayate era, he didn't get any say, so the studio have the full control of the season during QT's era.
Yeah, but does he have authority on the new one though? That is the question.
On the Tonikawa, yeah, that'll be a good question.
Yeah.
Actually.
I'm glad Fanazador is here to be the more positive aspect, because if he wasn't here, we would just throw rocks at Hata all day long.
This would be a weird podcast if Fanazador doesn't exist right now.
The second part is about you don't need to show it to the reader. They're not an episodic moron. I have to disagree on that because some people, not everyone, does not even know that Tsukasa is weird or strange throughout the 140 chapters. So he needed that for those kind of people. Some people doesn't even understand if you don't tell them direct.